investors, or even between professional investors that have maybe different perceptions or different time horizons in terms of their willingness to exit or their willingness to keep supporting the company. So it's all those to me are really part of the critical aspects that I've been learning, and that now I think I'm a bit better to navigate than I was 12 years ago when I was an absolute greenhorn.
Thank you for sharing that experience, because I feel like there are listeners of the podcast who certainly, are ones who either don't have a board yet, and someday they'll have to think about this,
Mhm.
and then other people, might be fairly new and have board in their company. And I've interviewed. I don't know if you know this author or not, but Brad Feld has written pretty extensively about boards and how to construct a board. He's a well-known author for doing that, and I've interviewed him. And one of the things that he said as well is, look, the you have to sort of count on your board to be and have experiences that you don't have, and having that
Absolutely.
dependence on them really makes you stronger at the end of the day as a leader inside of the company. So it's really good to have that acknowledgement as well.
Absolutely, and this is also why you need, very diverse boards. Diverse in terms of both technical, but also behavioral toolbox, and having people having work in different geographies from different cultures. Because essentially, uh, the point is not to look for the truth. The point is to look for the best way to maximize the return for the shareholders. And there's always nuances. There are several ways to go from point A to point B, and so it's really again not the search for the for truth. It's the search for the most cost-effective and least risky way of getting there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, I want to kind of go back to your education. So, I have a lot of initials after my name, and spent a ton of time in school, as do you, even more, than I have. And it was funny because I have had this conversation with my children as well. That I feel, and they're all college age or older, as well. So, they the conversation we were recently having at Christmas was, I do feel like there's a shift that needs to happen in sort of formal, what I would call formal education. Yes, you need still all of the basics that we all need kind of whenever we're coming up, just so that you understand how to learn, overall, and like when you start to get things and things like that. But I've also said, I feel like there is a bit of a shift, and even with your involvement as well in the AI Frontier Network, I would imagine that this comes to an alignment as well. That I do feel like, even with a shift in formal education, there's a need to just have that level of experience that, yes, you can go get it through intrinsic knowledge, but unfortunately, it can cost you years and years to try, decades to try and get, what you might be able to get in a formal education, as well. But I do think that I think, given with AI and everything else, that there will be some sort of a shift in what we call formal education today, where, you can see people, whenever you look at their LinkedIn profiles, all they do is attend these, like the Harvard, um, the Harvard experience sessions, which is for executives that, essentially just extract certain aspects of what you might need, where, a formal, PharmD degree or MBA or law degree, sort of comes with a set of knowledge that, that person walked away with. And I'm just curious to sort of hear from you. What is your experience and approach, been with the formal education that you have? And then also, do you see any of the things that I'm describing?
Well, when I got my various degrees, whether my doctorate of pharmacy, my master in business law, or my MBA, there was no such thing as artificial intelligence. And you wanted to prepare a thesis, you had to go to the library check the current contents, then go write down things, possibly Xerox a few documents, and then you had to essentially write. There was no one to write for you. Okay, and I think it's going to be difficult going forward to tell now the difference between a thesis written by some kind of AI tool versus a person. But I think it would be very short-sighted on the people who are trying to cheat by using those artificial intelligence to essentially make their way through and get the degree, because you don't get the degree to get a degree. The degree is only a stamp to say that you've learned to use your brain to exercise judgment, and you're using some tools, some etc. And then you supplement this along the way, because life is teaching you some lessons, because you go through to executive courses like I did at INSEAD or at IMD. Um, and here those executive courses are precisely designed to leverage your past experience. So it is not really about more, I would say, academic style teaching. It is really about leveraging what you've learned before, and therefore it's about training your brain to be agile. Now, to link this to the point that you made with artificial intelligence, people are excited by the word intelligence, but they forget that the important word is artificial. And when I went through my MBA, there was this expression which was, gigo, meaning if you take the wrong assumptions at the beginning, you end up with something which is wrong in the end. So it's garbage in, garbage out. I think our AI is gigo at 10 to the 1000. It's like it's if you really process crap, you get a huge pile of rubbish in the end. And if you are not used to exercise judgment on the inputs, you will not be able to exercise judgment on the output. So I think, yes, I see a lot of value in the use of AI to massage the vast amount of data which accumulates all the time, especially in human life sciences. Um, but I think, like any tool, the famous tale from the from, I think it was Greece, Aesop, and the tongue. The tongue can be the best or the worst of the things. Well, AI, that fable could have applied to artificial intelligence. Is how you use it that will make the difference. And right now we're still at the beginning. The ethical, the legal framework is still in flux because nobody exactly knows how it's going to evolve. It's going to take a bit of time for the dust to settle. In the end, I think we'll get something powerful. If it's used the right way, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed by its ability to help me do things that I certainly don't know. Just this morning, I was trying to overcome one particular challenge, put it back into AI, and lo and behold, I have a path for an answer now for the challenge that was ahead of me. And I'm not somebody who codes tools, but it was even able to write to essentially code a tool that will work on the internet as well. And so it was it's pretty amazing that way that, it can help you with things that you don't know, but also I don't have the eye or the knowledge to know whether or not if it's done it wrong. And so that's the
Yeah,
that's kind of the other the
it,
other
to
aspect
my
that
point.
yeah, that helps. So yes. So, you're also a lecturer in MBA programs and a mentor, for incubators. What advice can you give to aspiring engineers and professionals in the life sciences?
Well, actually, I have a lot more experience with mentoring CEOs of startups at Mass Challenge than at lecturing. And when I lecture, it's typically in executive MBAs or master classes with not, I would say, young students, really. Um, uh, I mean, I typically advise them, first of all, I mean, to plan, to think, plan in advance, to play by the book, know the rules, and at times, push the walls if the walls are not at the right place or the thing is not in the right place. But do it with a reason. Um, and I also advise them to listen. There's There's a proverb which says, "Remember, you got two ears and one mouth." You should, and so they have to be ready to be a good mentee.